I often feel that, as you grow up, now that I think back at it, I often go like, oh wow, I was so immature doing that. But
Of course, it's easier said than done. I understand.
I've made a lot of mistakes over the last 11 years. But today, when I think about it, I guess travel is a good addiction to have.
It is.
Bali is often thought of as a beach destination.
Yeah. Like, you're creating all these experiences, this product and everything.
Travel now no longer is about just ticking a box.
Do you still have a bucket list? Do you still have places you dream of going to?
Whether it's the Veena World Women's Special segment where only women travelers want to go, we keep looking at these trends because
And it keeps you humble and it keeps you so grounded all the time.
creating these experiences is something where there is no upper limit.
Acha, you don't? Hi everyone, welcome to India's Travel Maestros, our podcast series where we interview the top leading tour operators, travel agents from across the country. And today with me, my guest here is Mr. Neil Patil from Veena World. Firstly, I want to thank you for joining me on this show.
Thank you for having me. When you emailed us saying that you wanted to do it, we were quite excited that you're doing it because there aren't many travel podcasts and not many people outside of the industry really know about the industry. So I'm glad and honored that I'm on this episode of the podcast. So thank you very much for having us.
I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So Neil is the co-founder. Neil is the chief technological officer. Neil is also the chief operating officer. Those are a lot of designations, Neil.
There's a lot that we do, and to ensure that you do about 100,000 travelers a year at Veena World, a lot of us have to have a lot on our plate. So thankfully, the leadership at Veena World and the entire team have played a key role. And although it's a lot, we have a nice process-oriented organization. Ensures that we are able to get the job done and ensure that people have a great time.
I'm glad. I'm really happy to hear that. So Neil, I'm curious, how did your journey with Veena World start? Like, if you could just tell us about it.
So for that, we'll have to roll back to 2013. Okay. I've come back from doing my Bachelor of Business and Bachelor of Finance degree from Australia. Want to work in investment banking, and to work in investment banking, the aim was that, okay, we'll go somewhere to Singapore or Hong Kong. But back in 2013, my family went through a business split, and both my parents and my aunt Sunila and walked out of our earlier company, and we decided to set up Veena World. Back then, I was also here. I had to choose between setting up a company from scratch and being a part of it, or going and working in Singapore or Hong Kong. And I think the decision was quite easy because the experience that you would get from setting up a company, you would not get just working at an investment bank, right? So today, when I look back, that's how it started, and probably one of the best decisions of my life. We have been able to build Veena World over the last 11 odd years, and we feel we are just getting started, and we want to really ensure that we show India to the world and the world and India to Indian travelers here.
Wow. Awesome. And Neil, going back to 2013, what would be that one advice you would give to that younger self of yours who is just starting out in the industry?
I often get asked this question, but I often feel that, as you grow up, back then maybe I was 21 or 22. The advice, of course, would be like, try to be more confident, take more risks and all of that. But as I have seen, not only my journey, but all of our journey at Veena World, it's always been that, things happen for a reason. And now that I think back at it, I often go like, oh wow, I was so immature doing that. I was so immature doing this. But today, I'm glad all of those things really happened. I'm glad that we had hurdles that came up, which we had to really solve. So at Veena World, we have this principle that we follow, which is take the cow out of the ditch principle.
Okay.
Where
Interesting.
We have like thousands of travelers traveling in some part of India or the world every day. And if any problem happens, our thing is first take the cow out of the ditch, which means resolve the problem first before pointing fingers at others or anything like that. Once you've resolved the problem, ensure that you take steps so that that problem doesn't occur again. That means the cow doesn't go into that
Correct.
ditch again. And then ensure that you have that process set and it's done. So I've made a lot of mistakes over the last 11 years. But today, when I think about it, and if I were to say something to my 2013 self, I would say that it's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes happen. But the best part is learn from them, because if you don't learn from them, you're not really training yourself to be a leader. So, yeah.
I like that fact that you said, it's important. It's okay to learn from your mistakes, because everyone I see that, they really start criticizing themselves, saying, oh, I made that mistake, but it's important.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that. Sunil, as someone, you're someone who really likes to travel. Are you someone who really likes to travel?
Well, I often used to joke about it that my family's been in travel all my life. So it is a hobby that comes naturally, or a forceful hobby, right? But I love traveling. My wife loves traveling.
Wow.
And we often have this thing where, we want to go somewhere every single month. And
Wow.
it is, I guess travel is a good addiction to have.
It is.
And we had a baby in the month of April, and
Nice.
she's already been on 10 flights now that she's 7 months old.
Wow.
And hopefully by the time this episode is out, we'll probably have done more flights.
More flights?
Yep, I love traveling. Yeah.
Awesome. So, as someone who loves traveling, I'm sure there are so many experiences and trips that you have taken. Has there been a particular trip or a moment where you were like, wow, I need to take this back to my company and I need to, use this experience and share it with my clients?
I mean, there have been many, man.
Yeah.
Like, I would say Antarctica was one experience, but Antarctica was already planned and there. An experience that left me in awe, and then we came back and decided that okay, we have to do something. Was, I would say, Bali.
Okay.
Now Bali, everyone knows of, right?
course.
And everyone goes to and all that. But I went to Bali, I think in 2016, 2017, with my parents, with my brother, with Sunila and her daughter Sarah. And if you think about Bali, Bali is often thought of as a beach destination.
Yeah.
But Bali really has a beach. Bali has partying if you want to party. Bali has great food. Bali has a rainforest in Ubud. Bali has a volcano.
Oh, wow.
And Bali has a lot of river rafting also, right? So you're like, this kind of caters to all sections of people. And back then we were not doing as many travelers to Bali. So on the flight back, and Bali is a long flight, you have to probably fly via Malaysia or Singapore if you aren't flying direct. We were like, okay, on our way back, we have to come and create a product so that we increase the number of travelers here. And everything we did in Bali, whether it was the river rafting, whether it was the cooking class, whether it was visiting the Tanah Lot temple, whether it was just admiring the rainforests of Ubud, everything left us with the thing that, travel now no longer is about just ticking a box.
Yeah.
It is experiential. And then we came back here, created a Bali product, and today hundreds of travelers go with Veena World to Bali. But what that trip really did for us was every time we went to a destination, we would ask ourselves, the amount of fun we are having in this destination, can we replicate that for all of our, we don't say customers at Veena World, we call them guests, all of our guests at Veena World. So since then, we have been able to improve products. Since then, we have been able to create newer products. And that's not only me, it's everyone at Veena World. So as we speak, my parents, Sudhir and Veena, are in Zanzibar with a Veena World tour. And they are there because they want to experience the tour in its actual self firsthand, so that we can improve. My co-founder and chief product officer at Veena World, Sunila, is in Melbourne because Australia is something where we want to keep increasing travelers to. So now every single trip is, of course, fun if you're going with family, loved ones and everything. but at the same time, every single trip is work because we want to keep enhancing that product. And that's the ethos with which we have built Veena World. That's the product research that we do. And we feel that it's not only the four of us, now more and more people from the team are traveling, which just helps us bring everything together and, create better products. So, yeah, I
Wow.
would say Bali started it.
Wow, that's a really, really interesting story. I really like
Thank
that.
you.
Nice. And Neil, as someone, since you travel a lot, I'm sure like you've seen a lot of the world, right? Um, do you still have a bucket list? Do you still have places you dream of going to?
I would say bucket lists can never go away.
Yeah.
And it was only last week. I write a newsletter to all our guests and
Yes.
readers, right?
I'm a
So,
part of it.
oh yeah, well, I'm glad. So I mentioned in that your bucket list will never decrease. It'll always keep increasing. In terms of travel, where do I want to go to? I'm currently at 43 countries. My wife
Wow.
Heta is at 49 countries. I want to ensure that we go to a country where she can complete 50. But really, if I were to think about where I want to go next, what is a good plan that we should do? Mexico is on my list. I love the food. And Mexico is a place that I've never been to. That's one.
Uh,
I've been to Antarctica. Now I want to go to the North Pole. And to
oh,
go to the North Pole, so Antarctica is just mountains, right? And the
right,
Arctic is a sheet of ice.
right.
So to get to the North Pole, you can't just go in any ship or cruise, right? You need those nuclear icebreakers that break through the ice and take
Right,
you.
right.
So that is on my bucket list. I want to go for the gorilla trekking in Uganda or Rwanda.
Oh, wow.
That's on my list.
Yeah.
I've been to Japan multiple times, and I try to go to Japan once every 2 years because I think that country is completely different. A non-English speaking country where getting by is so easy is insane. But I still have Japan on my bucket list where I want to go and trek. And you love trekking, you've told me
Yeah.
that. Trek up Mount Fuji. So
Really?
you can do that in the summers, they say.
That's on my
Yeah.
bucket
Oh
list.
yeah. So maybe we should do it together.
Yeah,
But
that'll be fun.
that's on
Yeah,
my bucket list. But that's all outside of India, right?
correct.
In India, there are so many things that I just think can be added to a bucket list. There's Jatayu Earth Center in
Yes,
South India that I
yes,
really
absolutely.
want to go visit. Leh Ladakh I've been to,
Mhm.
but I want to go back. Kashmir is something that, again, I've seen, but I feel Kashmir is a place that you can visit in all 4 seasons and you'll see 4 different versions of Kashmir.
Absolutely.
So that has been on my bucket list. And one final thing I'll add, of course, the bucket list is large,
And
right?
never
But
ending.
just a few things is that I don't know enough about the wildlife of India. And you have
Okay.
so many national parks.
Right.
So I have a lot of friends who love going for safaris and checking out the national parks of India. I've only done one. I would like
Okay.
to do more of that. So that's also something that is on my bucket list. But let's see where 2025 takes me.
Takes
But
you.
I'm quite looking forward to it.
I'm glad. Nice. That sounds very interesting, by the way.
Yeah, like I'm excited, and of course, like the bucket list changes with every trip. So not necessary that I'll do all of these in the next 2 years, but maybe more things will be added.
Nice. Nice. Talking about travel, there have been so many new travel trends that have really cropped up in these past few years, especially with the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
Um, there are these three new things that I was recently reading about. One is called Hercle Durkle, which is
Okay.
basically you just book a hotel
Mhm.
and you just stay there, lounge in the bed all day, don't do anything, you just sleep and you don't go out.
Yeah.
Second one is called Frolics, which is
Mhm.
basically friends and colleagues,
Yeah.
where you basically take leisure trips with your colleagues or co-workers.
Yeah.
And the third one is called me mooning, right? And so me mooning is basically honeymooning, but solo.
Yeah.
So you're giving yourself all the love
Yeah.
and pampering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you just share some insights regarding that?
I would say all of those three are things that we have also seen at Veena World.
Yeah.
See, you think about it, right? Like we have been working with your family
Yes.
since the start of Veena World.
Yes.
And one, I would like to say thank you for your support. It has been integral to Veena World. But when it comes to the way we design trips also, right? We have seen in our product research also that all of these three are things that are quite important. I'll start with you traveling with your colleagues, right?
Yeah.
In India today, you finish school, you finish your graduation, and then you start working.
Right.
Once you start working, you don't have enough time to make new friends.
Right.
So then who are your friends? It's either your school or college friends, or
Correct.
it's your colleagues.
Right.
Now, often when you get into work, you start meeting your colleagues, and then the colleagues are more on a wavelength with you than maybe your
Absolutely.
school friends who have had different experiences
Absolutely.
everywhere else. So we have seen a lot of colleagues wanting to travel with each other, not only in our MICE and corporate travel segment, but in our group tour segment,
Okay.
where colleagues want to get their families also, or colleagues want to go just themselves also. And whether it's the Veena World Women Special segment where only women travelers want to go, it is something that we have definitely seen. When it comes to me mooning, this is a massive thing on our women special tours where people are like, I want to go on my own, give myself time, but at the same time,
Yeah.
maybe I want to meet some new people. Maybe I
Absolutely.
want, and
Absolutely.
that's also something about me mooning, right? So we have seen that,
Yeah.
and that is something that we think will definitely grow because people want to just spend time by themselves,
By themselves.
right? And then finally, I'll come to the third one where you said that you just want to go to the hotel and
Lounge.
right? I think hotels will love it
Yeah.
because your
Of
F&B also increases because of that.
Right.
I think that has come about because sometimes people tell me that, I just came back from a holiday, but I'm so tired that I need a holiday
Another
after the
holiday.
holiday to rest,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
some of these things we have seen where at Veena World we have something called post-tour holidays where
Okay.
people finish a group tour and then they extend by 2 or 3 days just to relax and do it. We have seen a lot of that happen when it comes to the customized holiday segment also, right? See, today everyone can become a travel agent,
Right,
and
right.
anyone can offer customized holidays. But when someone goes on a customized holiday, let's say you go with your family, I go with my family,
Yeah.
there is invariably one person who is always deciding where do I eat, who's going to come to pick us up tomorrow, who's going to be our guide, and that one person does not have 100% satisfaction from their holiday because they
Yeah.
came on the holiday to relax, but they are planning all of these things.
Correct.
And that's something that we have seen happen a lot, and that's why then this thing of like, I just want to go and relax at a
Yeah.
hotel comes about. And that's a feeling many people get after a holiday also sometimes, but you being tired after a holiday could be a good thing also because you've really enjoyed. So well, those are three things, but I'm sure there'll be, if you dig deep, there'll be so many more that you'll
Yeah.
just come across.
But I'm glad you could share you could back what I'm saying with some stats that you yourself are facing firsthand at Veena World.
Yeah. Like,
I'm glad. I did not expect that.
no, it's always that you want to know who are the people who are actually booking tours.
Correct. Absolutely.
And see, we have been doing tours in many parts of India and the world for so many years.
Correct.
But if you keep the product the same every single year, it can't be the case, right?
Correct.
That fire in the belly should always be there.
Absolutely.
You should always want to innovate a simple Bangkok Pattaya product also.
Yes.
Because if you don't do that, in the short term, you might gain. But in the longer term, like, we have this philosophy at Veena World where, when someone books a holiday, they are putting in their hard-earned money.
Absolutely.
And trusting you. They could have trusted 100 other people. So we can't play around with that money. We can't just take it for granted. And that's why, like, we keep looking at these trends because the trends really tell you what people want. And if you're able to give people what they really want on a tour, you will probably go far in the long run, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. That is so true, right? It's so important to keep studying the trends and especially with the data that you have, I'm sure every year you must be down back to the whiteboard.
We try to, but like there's still a lot to learn. There's a lot more to innovate. So some exciting things are in the pipeline. You'll hear about them as they come about.
I'm excited. So Neil, since you've been right there. You've started the company ever since 2013. I'm sure there have been so many setbacks and failures that come along the way,
Yeah.
right? What is your way of dealing with it?
If you think about setbacks, right, all of us had a setback that was COVID.
Of course.
When you're a travel company, airlines going bust also
Right.
can be a very like tricky thing. So
Right.
we've had in the Indian aviation industry, we have so many of them.
Absolutely.
Jet Airways, Go Air, and many. So I feel when you're in the service industry, today I'm as part of a group tour. If you are my guest, I'm promising you a flight, a hotel, or multiple hotels, multiple restaurants, a meal at transfers, sightseeing,
Right.
everything packed together.
Right.
Anything can go wrong. There can be a puncture, a flight can be delayed, a hotel might say that, okay, my housekeeping staff has not come, that's why rooms are not clean. Someone may not have something at the restaurant. So, you thinking that any tour is going to go 100% and just relaxing is not a great thing. So, when it comes to these hurdles, I guess all of the hurdles that not only me, but the entire team, all of our tour managers have faced at Vina World, they have helped us build a kind of thing where do not panic, right? Because you know that the good feedback is always going to come to you on email and the bad feedback is going to go on TripAdvisor. And
Public
you run
platforms.
you run
Yes.
hotels,
Yeah.
right? You have to be so careful about your booking.com rating or your
Absolutely.
TripAdvisor rating. Now, when something like that happens, it is very easy to panic.
Right.
But the worst thing that happens when you panic is the fact that you are not going to be able to take rational decisions. So today, anytime any hurdle happens, we just like to be calm. And with all of the 22 departments at Veena World, the aim is that stay calm and things will fall in place.
Yeah.
And sometimes things may not fall in place, but you'll still be able to find a solution to it. So,
Absolutely.
one, not panicking is something that if someone is 20 or my 21-year-old is watching this, I will be like, problems will arise from everywhere. It's like you have to always remember that, if you're running a restaurant, there is a chance that someone might find a strand of hair or a
Yeah.
stapler pin in the food, right?
Absolutely.
And it's not always going to be rosy. But on those bad days, if you ensure that you don't panic, it's going to be easy going for you. But if you do panic, then it's going to just get tougher. So don't do that. And hurdles have taught me that, but that one thing I keep with me, and then it makes life much easier.
Right. Right. So Neil, of course, you've started the company. You've been in the whole process of building this company, and with so many people working with you, under you, all the time. What is your take on leadership, and how do you handle it? Because it's not easy.
One thing I'll correct is I have not started the company on my own, right? It has been, we started Veena World with 35 people. So whenever a statement like this comes up, I often like to say that all 35 started it together.
Right.
Today, all 750 plus team members are running it together, including our sales partners, including partners like yourself, including our associates all across the world, play a big role in ensuring that the Veena World puzzle falls into place.
Right.
Because if a hotel partner like you create a hurdle or something like that, the puzzle piece does not fit. And if the puzzle piece does not fit, it doesn't look great. So yeah, all of us started it together. In terms of leadership, like along the way, you learn a lot, and you learn from your superiors, you learn from your team members, you learn from people outside.
Right.
I often see this one thing that is recurred across the world, where a statement comes up that which managers tell their team that you can't even understand this much. Is it? Like, yeah. And then there's a nice saying by the legendary Ray Dalio, where he posted once on Twitter saying that he has often seen this happening.
Yeah.
So I'll just quote him. is that you have to realize as a leader or a manager that you are in a place because you have got that experience. But if you have a team, they are not in your place, but they are looking up to you.
Right.
Now, when you were that, you also wouldn't have understood those
Absolutely.
things, right? So it's very easy to say something like that, and people often take it for granted that what they know their team has to know.
Correct.
But that's not right.
That's not.
And that's something that I tend to follow. Another thing that I really like to follow is I like to go to a meeting
Okay.
thinking that I don't know anything about it, right? And when that happens, you can ask more questions. You don't take a lot of the footage of talking, but rather you listen.
Right.
So as a leader, you have to listen. It's not you're probably there for a reason, but if you don't listen, then you're just like giving instructions and people are doing them.
Right.
And if you really want to build an organization that is built for the people by the people, then it just can't be the leaders who are like giving
Driving.
one way decisions, right? Everyone has to contribute.
Right.
So, and learning, like I often like to learn from our tour managers, from our office team, because you will not have the right answers to everything. And if you think you have the right answers to everything, you're probably not a great leader. But maybe some leaders could be like that, and some leaders could be great leaders like that. But at least me, I would say that I don't like being that. I like the team to have the freedom.
Right.
I like like I started with, like, it's okay to make mistakes. So
Right.
let the team make mistakes. You can make mistakes, but if you make the same mistake twice, then you're probably not learning from that mistake.
Right.
So I like the team to have freedom, and that's kind of my leadership style. But at the same time, I like to roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty. So I have the CTO title. So when it comes to the CTO title, I love product and design. And our thing at Veena World has always been that don't just think that we are a travel agent who is booking trips for people and the trip is happening.
Right.
They should have a great experience. The communication with them should be great. I cannot call you Shivesh only. I should call you with both your first name and last name and all of these things, right? So the small things I really like, and I love following the great startups of the world like Airbnb and also many of the startups in India that have done a great thing about product and design.
Right.
So
Right.
that's kind of my style of working. Probably not everyone's style of working. People like to delegate, but I don't like to delegate everything. I like to also roll up my sleeves and try to get to the bottom of things.
Nice. That's really nice. And I really like the fact that you said, you like to go into the meeting thinking that you know nothing. That's such a good way to learn.
Yeah.
I really like that. And it keeps you humble and it keeps you so grounded all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
It's easier
that.
said than done. But
Of course. Of course, it's easier said than done. I understand. And so, Neil, that leads me to the next question. Like, you're creating all these experiences, this product and everything. And so what are those few things rather that go behind creating this experience that the common man does not understand or appreciate?
Well, if you really think about it, right, like you have booked a holiday with me, I should just give you a good return on that investment that you have done. But the smaller things are, we have a sales office, we have our tour managers.
Right.
Those are the two faces of Veena World that the traveler sees. But here we are at the Veena World corporate office today. There are about 350 of us working out of here.
Right.
They are ensuring that your flight tickets are booked in time. They are ensuring that the food that you want, the specific preferences that you want, where you're saying that, I eat non-veg on Wednesday, I eat veg on Monday, are taken care of.
Yeah.
You have told one of our sales team members that, the next time you launch a product for the West Indies, the islands of the West Indies, like, tell me about it. So there is a tech team that has built a database at the back end to ensure that whenever this happens, the salesperson has already fed this information. You get something about that new product. So I guess it's a complex web of different things that, we try to build for you. But we think that the two faces that is the salesperson
Right.
and the tour manager that you see at Veena World, aren't doing everything everyone else is also doing.
Yeah.
So ensuring that their life is easier
Yeah.
through incredible processes, achieving that process power so that you are able to build a model where today, if we are doing 1 lakh travelers, we should be able to do 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 4 lakh,
Absolutely.
is something that happens behind the scenes. Whether it's me, Sunila, Veena, Sudhir, or anyone at Veena World, all of us are putting our efforts into that.
Yes.
And then for our tour managers, if they should be able to do a great job, it cannot be all on a piece of paper. So, like, you know,
Right.
there are many tech things that we enable for them.
Right.
And I guess that process power is something which we are aiming for. I would not say that we are there yet. We improve with every month, with every tour, with every booked traveler. And slowly and steadily, you'll be able to create an ecosystem which then helps you take that leap that we are actually aiming for.
Lovely. Lovely. So it's building an ocean drop by drop, right?
It's, yeah,
Literally
it's a
that.
very difficult thing to do,
Yeah.
but we want to do it.
Right.
Yes.
Amazing. Awesome. You know, talking about booking with Veena World. Um, Recently we've seen this big upsurge about luxury travel and about people wanting that one of a kind experience.
Yeah.
Right. For example, there was this property I was reading about that's coming up near Shimla that's charging about good starting at 40,000 a room night and going all the way up till about a lakh and a half.
Yeah.
And there's this other property that's coming up in Goa where there's going to be a 6-course meal that's curated by the celebrity chef Ritu Dalmia.
Mm-hmm.
So these things are really coming up, and where do you see it going? And what do you see Veena World's role in this?
So today we are doing group tours, customized holidays,
Right.
corporate travel, inbound foreigners coming into India. All of these examples that you gave, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a 12-course meal in the mountains,
Right.
whether it's a hotel that is charging an exorbitant amount of money. You have to remember that India has a market for all of them.
Right.
People love history, people love culture, people love food, people love sport, adventure, trekking, 100
Everything, yeah.
things. Right. If you are able to deliver on your promise that your 12-course meal is going to be amazing, and if people see value for money in that, you will go a long way. Today, hotels can charge any amount of money, but if you really don't give the service, you'll probably see things dwindle. And that is why I feel that India has a lot of scope, because
Right.
infrastructure in the past wasn't great. Today we have great roads. Today we have great infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Today, wherever your hotels are, you're
Yeah.
seeing more and more people being able to come. Right?
Absolutely.
So we think creating these experiences is something where there is no upper limit.
Right.
Right. Demand will also exist if you have created an experience like
Right.
that. And if you are able to deliver on that promise, you will go a long way.
A
So
long
whether
way,
it's a
yeah.
40,000 a night tariff or 4 lakh rupees a night tariff,
Right.
both will exist in India, both will have a market. And at Veena World, we feel that as we are creating this ocean drop by drop,
Right.
as you mentioned,
Right.
we should be able to cater to all of our guests in different ways. That's why we have women tours, that's why we have senior citizen tours, that's why we have luxury experiences as part of our customized holidays. That's why we have something called grandparent grandchildren tours, we have student tours,
Wow.
we have honeymoon tours, we have couple tours, we have treks and hikes that we plan. So again, drop by drop, a new thing comes up, we build experiences around it. So I would say that Veena World is a full-blown travel experience generator,
Right.
as I would like to call it,
Right.
to different markets. And if you want something and if you were to ask us for it, we will definitely go out and try to get it for you.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know you did treks as well. Maybe I should book one with you guys.
Yeah, we do some of them. Sometimes the hardcore ones that you like to do, we don't really
Yeah.
do it. But we have forayed into it after COVID, and we have seen a great response for it. So we do a few treks every year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, maybe I should write it in my newsletter.
Yeah, you should. So, Neil, I mean, thank you first of all for sharing all that you have shared, all the insights. And is there something you would like to share with our listeners, people who are in the travel industry and who are also not in the travel industry, who are listening to this podcast?
Well, firstly, I would say thank you for having me on the podcast. Um, Good luck with all of the podcasting because
Thanks.
I've been doing it for 4 years.
Right.
It's super fun.
Yeah.
And once you get the ball rolling, it's a lot of effort, but that effort reaps the dividends. So, good luck with that. For the travel industry, I mean, I'm still young. There are many veterans in the travel industry who I learn from. I often like to say just one thing that, remember, India is massive.
Right.
There's a market for everyone. And I feel not many people really know much about the travel industry uh, in India or
Right.
whoever would listen to the podcast. So, um, if they come on your podcast, right, try to give a little more information than what is out there about the travel fraternity because all of us, whether it's Veena World, whether it's all of the other guests who will come on the podcast, they will be able to really showcase to our listeners what the travel industry is about. And to our listeners, I would say, like, traveling is a good addiction to have. Try to travel as much as you can. And often, along with the bucket list, I like to set travel goals. So my
Oh,
goal is
wow.
like doing 50 countries, doing 75 countries, getting to
Lovely.
100 countries at some point in my lifetime. They should also have that. And with every new year, we make travel resolutions, but we don't really meet them like most of our resolutions.
Right.
So, you
Right.
know, try to meet your travel resolutions because when you travel, it really expands your outlook, it expands your horizons, and you learn a lot from that. So I think travel has helped me grow professionally also, along with the personal side of it. So yeah, that is something I would like to share with them.
Lovely. Thank you. So, a takeaway would be make a travel resolution. Try your best to stick to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If not the whole of it, some of it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And finally, Neil, thank you so much for coming to this podcast and being our guest. And I'm so honored to have you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you. Thank you for everyone who was watching and listening this. Thank you and stay tuned for more podcasts.